What is the scariest thing to happen to you when you've been home alone? The lights turned off all at once while I was in the kitchen. It was pitch black. I heard the door open. For some reason, instead of thinking power outage, my brain went to someone has cut the power and is coming to kill me. I grabbed the landline, the knife, and was crouched behind the kitchen counter hearing steps come through the house, trying to breathe as quietly as possible. Then I hear my mom go, "Hello. Anyone home?" The power went out by chance at the exact moment she came in the door. That would have been an awkward hospital trip. My girlfriend and I both travel a lot for work, pre-COVID, so it's not unusual for only one of us to be home on any given week. Last fall she was in San Francisco, and I was home alone for a few days. We live in an apartment on the top floor of a building. Above us is a roof with a deck available to everyone. Middle of the night I get up to use the bathroom, and on the walk back to bed, I look over to the study. There's a sliding door in the study leading to a balcony. I immediately stop dead in my tracks. I see the outline of a person standing on my balcony facing me. I run over, hit the lights, grab a knife from the knife block, and start dialing 911. The person is a kid no more than 16. He sees me hit the lights, grab a knife in my phone, and he immediately grabs the railing on my balcony and flings himself over. I run over, assuming I just watched someone kill themselves, only to see him safe and sound on the balcony below me. He then hurtles off that balcony. He's jumping from floor to floor. He hits the parking lot in the back of our building safely and then sprints off. Cops finally come and break up a party on the roof. Turns out he was just a drunk friend of someone on the second floor and got dared to do it. Also shout out to my dog for being asleep 15 feet from the balcony and not doing anything. I was in my basement where the computer was playing some game, probably RuneScape, and heard someone pull into the driveway, naturally assuming it was my mother who was coming home from work. I heard the screen door open, but when no one opened the lock on the actual door I started to go upstairs and I saw a pair of legs go by the window. Well, the basement was underground, there was about a foot that popped up above ground level and had 2 windows. I go upstairs and see 2 dudes in my backyard looking at the windows and talking about the door was locked. It was an attempted home robbery. We had been broken into a few times at that point and had everything locked, but 10-year-old me was terrified. Someone tried to break into my neighbor's house while I was babysitting their kids. I was 15 and I used to babysit for my neighbors down the block. They had a really nice house, 3 floors with a built-in garage under the house that connected to the basement. It was the family's most used entrance of the house and they rarely locked the basement door as long as the garage was closed. They also had the type of security system where anytime a door opens you heard beep beep beep. After the parents left one night I was putting the kids to bed and I heard the beep beep beep. I yelled out, thinking it was the parents coming back for something, but no one answered. The system on the wall kept reading basement door open. I was freaked out, so I called my dad and asked him to come by, since he was only a few houses away. When he arrived, he told me to stay in the kitchen while he checked the house, but before he could, we heard the beep 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 again, and then the garage door opened. When we ran to the window to see if the parents were pulling into the driveway, they weren't. Instead, someone in a hoodie was running out of the garage door and into the woods behind the house. My dad ended up calling the cops. I'm still creeped out by it. When I was around 8 or 9, my mom commuted to a major city about an hour per hour and a half away, so I would bring myself home from school, about 100 meters away, lock the door and watch cartoons or play Neopets until she got home. We lived in apartment blocks, and one day one of the older male people in the apartment lost his wallet and he figured it must have been me. Keep in mind, I've never stolen anything in my life or had any trouble with the law, and I had no clue what he was talking about. He came and banged on the door so aggressively that I jumped out of my skin and was belligerent, demanding I open the door. I rang mom crying and she jumped on a train to come home, but she was an hour and a half away. She called some friends and they came and got me, and at that stage he had taken a break and gone back to his apartment, but left his dry cleaning there. When mom got back, she stormed straight to his door and pounded on it like he had done to our door. He came to the door, all shocked, and she demanded to know why he thought it was appropriate to bang on the door for an hour to scare a little girl. He replied that he thought I stole his wallet. Mom asked him if he still thought I did, and he said no, I found it in the car park. She looked like she wanted to kill him and forced him to apologize. Also, in that same apartment block, there was a hairline fracture on the sliding door that we didn't know about. A strong wind blew and shattered the entire window inwards. I was home alone then too, that was scary as fuck. Not sure if this counts. Was working on a farm in Northern Circuit. It was a startup and I was the only person, at nights, on an isolated 650 acres. After dinner, was walking from the lodge to my cabin, 100 yards plus. It's dark, so all I can see is what my flashlight illuminates, plus a little on the periphery of the main beam. Anyway, walking back and in the periphery I see red fucking eyes staring at me unblinkingly. I turn the light on it and all I see is a pale white mass behind the still red eyes. I freak, takes a little bit to get me jumpy, but this sure as hell did. Picture a 6'5" 260 pounds man. Now picture him letting out an unbelievably high-pitched scream and straight sprinting into his cabin, 50 yards or so. The next day I was talking to one of the guys that come up to help out during the day, told him what happened and he about fell over laughing. I think the sincere terror in my voice as I described the pale monster really drove the funny nail home for him. Well, turns out there's such a thing as albino deer, and just so happens one frequents this property. Nobody thought to warn me beforehand. There had been a scratching in my ceiling for a while, and my landlady was dragging her feet over having it looked into. Any night, around 2 a.m, the scratching became so bad it woke me up from a dead sleep. I tried to reassure myself that whatever it was, couldn't really get through to me, and I would be fine until I could call my landlady the next day and really press the issue. Then some debris fell from my ceiling. Whatever was up there had managed to dig a small hole into my room. I screamed and heard some scurrying away from my approximate location. Grabbed any stuff I needed for the next day, got the fuck out of there, shut the door tight behind me, and slept on the couch. I called my landlady first thing in the morning, and she had someone come while I was at work that day to check it out. A mom raccoon had managed to get her way into the space between the roof and my ceiling and had given birth to a litter of kits. The guy speculated that the kits were getting old enough to start wrestling around, and that was likely what led to the hole in my ceiling. Luckily it was just small, the size of a quarter, so there weren't any angry raccoons hanging out in my room. When I got home, they were able to safely trap and release the whole little family, but I still started hunting for new apartments ASAP. I move into my new place on May 1st.